Welcome back to the Friday Night 360 AZ preview show. I'm Jordan Ham alongside Haley Stasiak. Had some great insight from Coach Steve Campbell from Williams Field. Now we're going to go a little bit further south to the Tucson area. It seems like we talk each and every week about some of those top Tucson teams, and really as a whole, I think the city's really producing some really good football this year. And with that, we're going to bring in Justin Spears from the Arizona Daily Star. Justin, thanks for joining us.
Hey, Jordan, thank you for having me. Appreciate it.
Absolutely. So I know that early in the year you were able to see Sal Point, and they had a pretty dominating win. Bijan Robinson was all over the place. What is most impressive about his game when you were able to watch him?
I actually had to do a double take at the roster, when I watched him play, because I couldn't believe that he was just a sophomore. I'm like, this kid is 15 years old, but, you look at him and you automatically think Division I prospect when you get up right next to him. And then, one thing that really impressed me the most was kind of how patient he is. Granted, he does have probably one of the greatest offensive line in Tucson, or just in Southern Arizona in general. So, he's got that going for him. But, just how patient he is. He lets the play come to him. He lets the play develop. And then as soon as he hits that hole, he does some damage. And the fact that even though he's a quick running back, he likes to stay in between the tackles. So just kind of his intelligence and his patience. And like I said, I just couldn't believe that he was a sophomore. So, yeah, he's definitely a great running back.
Cienega has a lot of talent returning this season. What is going to be kind of the key to them making a run to the state title?
Well, first things first, it all goes on the shoulders of the quarterback, Jamari Joyner. I originally thought that Coach Pat Nugent, he was going to take the kind of the Sabino route with it when they had Drew Dixon, because, Jamari is expected to be a wide receiver, so maybe they could kind of move him around. That way it'd be harder for teams to kind of game plan around him. But, Jamari is a straight-up quarterback. Just the zip that he puts on the ball. And not only is he a great quarterback, but, he's just a true playmaker. You see him just go around the pocket. Again, there was a game last week against Shadow Ridge where it looked like it could have been probably a 13-yard sack, but the way Jamari kind of stayed on his feet and was able to move around, and he just chucked up a ball and found the wide receiver, Terrell Huggins, all the way in the corner of the end zone. It was truly amazing. Cienega's got a great all-around team. They got Terrell Hayward, who's a player who had 3 touchdowns last week on all 3 different levels. He had a reception for a touchdown. He had a punt return for a touchdown. And he also had a 66-yard interception return for a touchdown. So he got the hat trick. Nathan Amico, who's a linebacker for Cienega, he's a real bruiser. He's a guy that makes plays on defense. But like I said, Jamari Joyner, he's Mr. Everything for Cienega. It all falls on him. But, Cienega's got a great all-around team. And when I was out there last Friday night against Shadow Ridge, I was definitely impressed.
Marana has had a tough start to the year, 1-2, but they start the year with Cienega and Ironwood Ridge, then bounce back with a dominating win against McClintock. They did the same thing last year and then were able to rattle off 9 wins. What do you foresee for Marana moving forward in this 2017 season?
I expect the exact same thing that happened last year, because when they before they beat McClintock last week, I said in my preview that Marana is probably the best 0-2 team in the state. When they played against Ironwood Ridge, they were up in the third quarter, and they kind of just coughed up that lead. And Ironwood Ridge is a great team. So I was like, okay, well, Marana proved me wrong, because I thought they were going to get beat by a few touchdowns. And then going into the next week, I was like, okay, well, what could they do against Jamari Joyner and Cienega? And I kept looking at Twitter and kept looking at the game updates, and I thought it was like a Big 12 game. It was just points after points after points, and the next thing you know, it was 50-49, and I was like, okay, Marana's got this. And then, of course, Jamari Joyner doing his magic, they come back and win. And I was like, you know what, this Marana team, they're going to make some noise. Trenton Bourget, he's not the biggest quarterback. I always said if he was 3 inches taller and about 40 pounds heavier, he'd be a Division I quarterback without a doubt. But just his size, that's kind of a D factor for him. But I think Marana moving forward behind Trenton Bourget and just kind of the offensive weapons that they have. They need to work on defense. I mean, giving up 50 points in a game isn't the greatest, isn't what you want out of a head coach, but that offense behind Trent Bourget, I mean, it does wonders. They're going to be a great team moving forward.
You mentioned Ironwood Ridge. They're taking on Canyon del Oro this week. What sticks out to you about this game?
Well, the two running backs, specifically. CDO has the younger brother of Kadeem Carey. His name is Elijah Carey. He was on a 1,000-yard rusher last year, but he's still working. I believe he's a senior. He's not going to be the big hype around town like his older brother was, but he's still a solid running back. And then you look over at Ironwood Ridge, and their senior running back, and Nick Brawler, he had 3 touchdowns in that game against Marana. I mean, if they didn't have him, man, I think Marana gets that win. So Nick Brawler, he is a bruiser, but he can also kill you with his speed. So it's going to be an all-running kind of game between those two, but it's a storied rivalry, so it should be a good one.
It'll be a quick clock, I'm sure. So we covered a lot of the top schools here down in Tucson, but moving forward, what do you think the biggest storyline is for these Tucson schools in 2017?
Well, I mean, Tucson has always been kind of the younger brother to these Phoenix schools. I mean, it always has and always will be. I feel like anytime a great Tucson team is moving forward, there's always a team like Scottsdale Chaparral or a team like Brophy or a team like Scottsdale Saguaro. There's always a Phoenix team that kind of stops them. Now, I look at Cienega and what their quarterback is with Jamari Joyner. He is probably the best Tucson quarterback either since Reggie Robertson, who ended up going to Cal and was a backup quarterback behind none other than Aaron Rodgers, or Rodney Peete. And we all know what Rodney Peete did at USC and in the NFL. Jamari Joyner is the greatest quarterback since that time. I mean, I've heard the hype, I've watched the tape, and I went into that game last week against Shadow Ridge, and Jamari Joyner is the absolute truth. With that, he's got enough talent around him to where I think Cienega can actually make that hump and potentially win a state championship. Looking at South Point, I mean, they have beyond John Robinson. That's not going to be enough. Eventually, teams are going to kind of game plan around him. But looking at Cienega and Jamari Joyner, I think this could be the year that Cienega sneaks into that state championship for the first time since 2011, and I think this could be a year that they win it.
Great stuff, as always, Justin. Thanks for joining us.
Hey, Jordan, thank you guys. Appreciate it.
All right, that was Justin Spears from the Arizona Daily Star. A lot to cover in Tucson. I know that we've kind of been pumping it the past couple of weeks just about the quality of programs down there, but it's true. There's a lot of really good schools down there, and especially with Cienega and South Point up at the top, I think that they could make runs at state titles in their respective divisions.
Yeah, I mean, we haven't gotten a chance to get down to any of these Tucson schools to see them playing down there. We've seen a few of them that have come up here. But as the season goes on, hopefully we can make it down there and really see these teams play.
It could be a short trip for a couple of these schools if they do make it to the state title with those games being down in Tucson. Coming up next, we're going to be talking some of the big games in this upcoming week. Keep it here on the Friday Night 360 AZ Preview Show.